Hi, I'm Tim,
I'm Vina.
and we're going to be breaking down our Acatenango hike from Guatemala.
The whole distance is 22 kilometers, and then the height is 3,976 meters. With Fuego, it's 29 kilometers, and you also have to take into consideration of the altitude.
Yeah, it's very hard. If you're not physically in shape, I wouldn't recommend it. On our way up, we saw lots of people like limping down, having help with assistance, taking horses. Yeah, it was a very brutal hike. It's not impossible, but you definitely want to have a little bit of cardiovascular in you.
Although there were people there that did do it, that didn't seem like they hiked, and we took a lot of breaks, at minimum like 4, and then max maybe 8 to 9. But we also did a little bit of training, but not a crazy amount, like running up hills a week beforehand and doing long hikes.
Yeah, so we decided to book with a hostel called Tropicana. The group was 48 people large, so it was a very big group. With a group that big, they did not break us into 2 smaller groups of fast and slow. We just had to all stay together. So I feel like the breaks were really long, which was fine on the way up, but we took the same amount of breaks on the way down. And we ended up being late starting and finishing and sunrise just to get everyone going. I think it was just too big of a group. We ended up leaving the hostel an hour late, getting to the hike an hour late, and then the people who decided to do the extra hike in Fuego, they ended up missing the sunset because they left too late.
Okay, then the next question I have is, what are we carrying?
They want us to carry 4 liters of water per person, all your clothes, beanies, gloves, pants, just anything you're gonna need, snacks for the hike. So with all that in your bag, it's gonna be pretty heavy. Another thing we didn't realize, maybe it's because we weren't staying at the hostel, we actually stayed in an Airbnb and then met at the hostel the morning of the hike. So I think if we would have stayed at the hostel, we would have had more clarity from other people who had completed the hike, but we didn't know until we got to the hike that out of our 4 liters of water we were supposed to bring, when we got to the top of the mountain, we had to give 1 liter of water per person to the guides to cook all of our food.
Layers of clothes, fresh socks, and for me, I had to do contact solution. So from the start to base camp, it was 4.5, right? Hours?
4.5 hours, yep.
Okay, and then for people that did Fuego, it was...
People that did Fuego, it was an extra 3.5 hours till they got back. 3.5, 4 hours. Anxious to see some lava. We never ended up seeing any lava, unfortunately, but still beautiful sunset. We were up at 4 a.m. all ready to go by 4:20. Majority of the people were up, but the guides, when we woke up at 4, none of the guides were awake yet. So again, another late start. We didn't leave camp until 4:50, and we missed the peak of sunrise. By the time we got to the top, the sun was already kind of peeking over the mountains. So again, it could have been handled better. Tropicana, they only gave us 20 minutes at the top, and other groups were up there for 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay, and then the last one was how accommodation was and how we upgraded to VIP cabins, which is like a glass, but not real glass, but
plexiglass. Yeah, so you get a nice view of the volcano. I'd say for an extra $16, the VIP upgrade is very worth it. Everyone else was just sleeping in one shack with no view, and they also didn't have a mattress. It was just a sleeping bag and the ground. We had a little foam pad, a bunk bed, and a plexiglass, and our room was warmer than their room. Still a little cold, of course, at the top of a mountain, but...
I think they did have a mat, though.
I don't know.
They weren't on the floor.
Either way, the view was definitely worth it. I would recommend doing the VIP upgrade. The food and stuff was what you would expect at the top of a mountain. It wasn't terrible for what it was. No complaints there. Just really the timing was the biggest issue of everything, was getting there late, and then sunrise late as well. And then on the way down, we had to wait for the slow people, and it took quite a while to get down the mountain as well. So I think just the schedule, everything was just running a little behind, but other than that, I think for 48 people, I think they did a pretty good job. But I think that next time they should do smaller groups.
And that's all I had on my list. So, do you have anything else to comment on?
Nope. Nothing else to comment on.
Alrighty, that was our breakdown of the hike.
Ciao, chicos.